Alright, so we have basic log conversions to solve for x. So for our first one, we have x in our base. So we're going to rewrite this as an exponential. We can't solve it how it's written. So that's kind of the rule of thumb. If you can't solve it how it's written, change it into the other form. So if it's in log form, we're going to change it to exponential. So we're going to say x to the third equals 8 over 27. And it looks complicated. It's really not. If you have a fraction and you raise it to a power, remember you take that power and you apply it to the numerator and denominator. So because we have an even exponent, or I'm sorry, a positive exponent, and we're getting a fraction as our result, that means I am looking for a fraction. So what number when raised to the third power gives me 8? Well, that's 2. What number when raised to the third power gives me 27? Well, that's 3. That tells me x is 2/3. Here, we've got our x as our resultant, so we're going to take our 4, which is our base, raise it to the 5/2 power, and we're going to come out with x. So now we have a fractional exponent, and these are easy. All you do is you take your denominator of the fraction, so in this case it's 2, and that flips around and it becomes the root you're taking. The numerator stays as your exponent. So we're taking the square root of 4 to the 5th, and that's going to give me x. You can do it in any order. You could take the square root of 4 and raise that number to the 5th, or you could take 4 to the 5th and then take the square root of that number. I think it's easier to take the root first because then you can do it in your head. So if we take the square root of 4, we get 2. We raise 2 to the 5th power. That tells me x is 32. Our last one's probably the hardest. So if we take 49 and we rewrite it, 49 to the x is the cube root of 7. That looks like it's hard to do in your head, but if you start to think about it, how is 49 related to 7? Well, 7 is the square root of 49. So my power, my exponent, has to have a 1/2 because the square root is represented with a 1/2. Now that's still not equal to the cube root of 7. 49 to the 1/2 gives me 7. So another way that I could think of the cube root of 7 as 7 to the 1/3. So what I have over here so far is I'm taking 49 to the 1/2 and I'm coming out with 7. I then have to go one step further and get it to be the cube root, or the 1/3. So I'm going to also add in a 1/3. I don't want to put a 3 in there because then it would take 7 and raise it to the third power. I want it to get smaller. I want to take the root. All we have to do is simplify our exponents, so we have 1/2 and 1/3. So we have 49 to the 1/6 being equal to the cube root of 7. Sure enough, we know that my exponent is 1/6.